It's Christmas morning, 1996 in Boulder, Colorado, when 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey is reported missing from her family's home. Her mother, Patsy Ramsey, finds a 2.5-page ransom note demanding $118,000 and calls the police immediately.
Hours pass with no sign of JonBenét. Then, during a search of the house, her father, John Ramsey, makes a devastating discovery. JonBenét's body is found in the basement. She had been struck on the head and strangled. The ransom note had been a lie.
Almost instantly, suspicion turns toward the family. Some investigators believe the crime happened inside the home, staged to look like a kidnapping. Others believe an unknown intruder entered and killed her. Over the years, the case became one of the most famous unsolved murderers in American history. The Ramseys are never charged. Later DNA testing suggests the presence of an unidentified male, shifting attention back toward the intruder theory, but no suspect has ever been convicted.
Today, more than 2 decades later, JonBenét Ramsey's murder remains officially unsolved. In today's episode, we will be discussing our essential question: who suffers when a crime is committed?
John, thank you for sitting down with us. For decades, you've spoken about your daughter, the investigation, and the impact it had on your family. Today, we want to let you tell the story in your own words.
Thank you. I appreciate the chance to talk about JonBenét as a person, not just a case.
What was JonBenét like? How do you remember her?
She was a beautiful, spirited, energetic child, always singing, always bringing joy wherever she went. She loved dressing up, loved performing. She had this bright little personality that filled the room. She wasn't a symbol or a headline to us. She was our daughter, and she was adored.
How were things in the days leading up to the tragedy?
Well, it was Christmas. We were busy, like most families. We'd just been to a friend's house on Christmas night. We came home late, put the kids to bed. Everyone was tired. Nothing felt strange, nothing felt threatening. It was an ordinary, warm family holiday.
Can you walk us through that morning?
That morning is burned into my memory. Patsy called out to me. She found a note on the stairs, a ransom note. At first, I thought it was some kind of sick joke, but as I read it, my stomach dropped. I realized something was wrong.
You called the police quickly.
Yes, immediately. We didn't try to negotiate or handle anything ourselves. We followed the instructions the best we could. We were terrified. You cannot imagine the panic you feel when you think your child has been taken.
And later, when you found her,
It was the worst moment of my life. When the detective asked me to search the house again, I opened up the basement door, and I instantly knew. I knew she was gone. I knew I carried her upstairs. I think part of me still hoped she was alive, but I knew.
at what point did you realize suspicion was turning towards your family?
Pretty quickly, within days, we were grieving, confused, and trying to cooperate. And then suddenly, we were being looked at as possible suspects. It was devastating. I've said many times, losing a child is unbearable. Being blamed for it, that's a burden no parent should face.
In interviews, you made a direct statement.
I said it plainly. I did not kill my daughter, JonBenét. That's the truth. It always has been.
How did the media coverage affect your family?
It was like living inside a hurricane. Rumors, theories, speculation. Some of the things said about us were cruel beyond imagination. It made grieving harder. It made healing almost impossible. I don't think any family should be subjected to that level of scrutiny.
You've sometimes criticized how early the investigation was handled.
Yes, the Boulder police were overwhelmed. It was Christmas. They're short staffed and they were inexperienced with this kind of case. Mistakes were made. The crime scene was compromised, not intentionally, but through confusion. That hurt the investigation.
You've spoken a lot about DNA.
Yes, early tests found unknown DNA on JonBenét's clothing. That told us something important. Someone outside the family was involved. Later, touch DNA testing supported that further. It's not perfect science, but it's a significant lead.
What do you believe happened?
I believe someone entered our home. I don't know who, but I believe an intruder was responsible. That theory aligns with evidence, aligns with the DNA, and aligns with things the family has always known. I've spent decades reviewing, revisiting, examining everything, and that is the only explanation that makes sense to me.
How do you live with something like this for nearly 30 years?
You don't move on, you carry it. You always find ways to live beside the grief. You take care of your other children. You try to honor your lost child, and you keep hoping that someday there will be answers.
You were later cleared formally.
Yes, the district attorney's office eventually acknowledged that the evidence did not support our involvement. Quite the opposite. It was a relief, but it didn't undo the years of suspicion, pain, and the damage to our lives.
You've continued to speak publicly. Why?
For JonBenét, to push for the case to be solved, to correct misinformation, and to advocate for better forensic tools. If if advances like genetic genealogy can help, then we should use them. I'm hopeful that one day science will give us the answer we've been missing.
What do you want people to understand today?
That this isn't a mystery story. It isn't a puzzle. It's the loss of a child, our child. People forget that behind the headlines there is a real little girl with a family who loved her. She deserves the truth. She deserves justice.
If you could say one final thing to JonBenét, what would it be?
That I love you, that I miss you every day, and that I will never stop trying to find the truth for you.
Burke Ramsey grew up in the shadow of a crime that defined his childhood before he ever understood it. Whether people believe he knows more than he said or believe he is another victim of this tragedy, one truth remains clear. A 6-year-old girl lost her life, and a 9-year-old boy lost his sister and his normal childhood. The case may remain unsolved, but the damage it caused is not. We will be interviewing Burke Ramsey, JonBenét's brother, who was quickly accused of the murder, along with his family. So, what is the clearest memory you still have as your sister, not from the case?
I remember always having to go to her pageants. I always took it for granted because my mom would always make me go. And now that after she's passed away, I'm kind of glad I went to them, and I really did take them for granted, and I wish I could still go to them to this day.
What was it like being questioned by police at such a young age?
It sucked because I couldn't be with my parents, and it was such a hard topic because it literally just happened, and I was confused on why they would assume I did it when I was 9, and it was just too close of when my sister got killed happened.
Do you feel you were properly supported emotionally as a child after her death?
No, I do not think I was because my parents were just focused on what happened to my little sister, and were focused on filling out reports and stuff like that. To where when I had my younger siblings, I basically had to take care of them and raise them because my parents were they were there, but they weren't there for us physically. They were physically there, but not for us mentally. And it felt like I had to take everything on by myself, and I didn't have anyone to talk to about with my sister, and they thought that they were the only ones struggling with their emotions over my sister.
At what age did you fully understand what had really happened to your sister?
I never really knew it. I didn't find out really sort of what happened until I was really old. But I still to this day I still really don't understand why someone would want to do that to my little sister, and it still hurts, and I don't understand at all what my sister could have done.
How has living under public suspicion affected your mental health and adult life?
It affected my childhood a lot because everyone at school looked at me, treated me different, and they always had. It always felt like they just left me out of things. And then as I grew older, holidays were never the same. Holidays were never the same, especially on Christmas, because there was always when my little sister died around that time. So my parents would always be different, and they'd always their moods would change, and they'd always be mad at everything. And then my younger siblings, they could never my parents never really told them what happened, and they still never really told me until I was older and figured it out. And it's just, I felt like it ruined every holiday, and I felt like it's just it's still a burden, and like and their family was never the same. Like there was never any like real family time after that. Like there was no like total happiness.
What is the hardest rumor about you that you've had to live with?
The hardest rumor I had to live with was everyone like assuming it was me, because the police questioned me right after it happened, and my parents always like treated me different, and they like even my parents assumed it was me at one point.
Do you feel the public ever allowed you to grow up normally?
No, I did not feel like the public allowed me to grow up normally, because like everyone treated me different, teachers, family, and everything was like not the same. Like before she passed away, like I felt like we had a happy, loving family. Now I feel like everyone was like left out besides my parents, and it was just like weird because my like around holidays it would suck because my mom and dad would be like grumpy all the time, and like if you like did something bad or like got in trouble, they like the punishment would be very very extreme, and like kids always treated me different.
If new DNA evidence pointed to someone outside your family, how would that make you feel?
It would make me feel very glad because then like I would know that nobody in my family killed my little sister, and then like all the rumors about me killing my sister would be like gone, and then I'd finally get treated normal, and I wouldn't be left out. Or and my parents would still have that thought like in the back of their mind though, like what happened, but then at least they would know that it was not me or no anyone else in our family.
This might be harder for you to answer, but do you ever think the case will be solved?
No, I really don't think the case will be solved because if it is solved, I feel like we won't like the person would already feel like they got away with it, and like there would be like not really of a punishment because they've got away with it for so long. But I really do hope it gets solved. But I don't really think the case will get solved because of how long the case has been, because of how long it's been a cold case for everyone and how much it hurts my family. Managing type 2 diabetes can feel tough, but you don't have to do it alone. Ozempic is a medicine that helps people with type 2 diabetes control their blood sugar when it is used along with a healthy diet and exercise. Ozempic helps your body use insulin better. It is not for people with type 1 diabetes, and it is not for weight loss. Your doctor will decide if Ozempic is right for you. Be sure to ask about possible side effects and see if it goes with your health plans. So you've lost some weight. Yes, sir.
Side effects may include upset stomach, feeling dizzy, fast heart rate, fatigue, gallstones, trouble digesting food, not feeling hungry, stomach bloating or burping, low blood sugar, pancreas problems, less fees than usual, swollen belly, fever, skin irritation from the shot, kidney problems, trouble breathing, risk of thyroid cancer, confusion, headaches.
Now we will be speaking with Linda Hoffman, who was the Ramsey's housekeeper. Thank you for speaking with us today. Could you start by telling us how long you worked for the family?
I started working for them about 2.5 years before everything happened. I usually came in twice a week, sometimes more around the holidays.
What were your typical duties?
I cleaned the main living areas, the kitchen, and the children's rooms. Sometimes I did laundry or helped organize things before events or trips.
How do you describe the family's daily routine?
Pretty normal. The mornings were always a bit rushed. Getting the kids ready, breakfast, school prep, afternoons were calmer. Evenings depended on activities or events. Nothing strange most days.
Did anything about their routines change before the incident?
Not really. They seemed a bit busier than usual with holiday plans, but that's expected. I didn't notice any dramatic changes.
Who had access to the home besides the family?
As far as I knew, just a couple of close family friends and maybe one contractor who came for repairs. I always locked up when I left. Sometimes I found doors unlocked, but with kids around, they didn't seem unusual at the time.
Did you ever see anything strange or out of place in the home?
Not exactly strange, but sometimes toys would be in unusual spots or a door would be open. That I'm pretty sure I closed earlier. I didn't think much of it. Kids move around a lot.
Did any family member seem stressed or acting differently before the incident?
They all seemed tired from the holiday season, but nothing that stood out as alarming. The kids were excited and energetic like usual.
Did you ever hear arguments or see tension?
Just normally family disagreements. Nothing intense or frightening. They always seemed to work things out quickly.
Did the children ever seem afraid or upset in any unusual way?
No, they were usually cheerful. If anything upset them, it was a small thing. Bedtime, toys, that kind of thing.
Did anything about their routines change before the incident?
Not really. They seemed a bit busier than usual with holiday plans, but that's expected. I didn't notice any dramatic changes.
Did the family receive any strange calls, mail, or have any unusual visitors recently?
Not that I saw. Most visitors were people I recognized. No one suspicious or out of the ordinary.
When you heard something had happened, what was your reaction?
I was shocked. Completely shocked. It didn't make sense to me. Nothing I saw in the home ever suggested something terrible could happen.
When you returned to the home afterward, did anything feel different?
Yes, emotionally. The house felt heavier, quiet. I was aware that something awful had taken place, and it changed how the space felt.
Is there anything you remember now, even small details that seemed unimportant at the time?
There were a couple times I found windows cracked open or basement lights on, but I always assumed someone forgot. Looking back, I guess anything could matter, but I didn't truly know what's significant.
Do you have any final thoughts?
I just hope the truth is found. The family loved their children, and what happened changed so many lives. If anything I said can help, then I'm glad to share it.
Thank you for joining us as we dug into one of America's most haunting mysteries, the JonBenét Ramsey case. Nearly 3 decades later, the questions remain, the theories multiply, and the truth still slips through the cracks.
And behind every headline and every rumor, a 6-year-old girl whose life ended far too soon. Our goal isn't to point fingers, but to keep the conversation alive. Remember the victim and push for the answers that still matter today.
If you found today's episode thought-provoking, make sure to follow the show, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who loves true crime as much as you do.
And if you have theories, questions, or cases you want us to cover next, message us on social media or drop us an email. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, stay curious and stay skeptical.
And stay safe. This would be us giving our opinions on who suffers when the crime is committed. I think it's obviously the victim who suffers, but as well as like the family and their friends, because they put a lot of like love into that child or victim or whatever. And um yeah, I think it's like the family and the friends around the victim.
I think the people who suffer the most when a crime is committed are the victim, obviously, and then the families of the victim, and as well as the family of the person who committed the crime, because they have to live with knowing that their family member would commit a crime.
I think a lot of people suffer when a crime is committed. Clearly, the victim does. I think the victim's family does because they have to live with their loved one going through something like horrible. I think the criminal's family does. They have to go through like probably public um, hatred. And I think the criminal does, whether it's for the right reason or if they maybe were mistaken, they still suffer.
I think it is the victim's. I think that it is the victim's family, friends, and like just like relatives, because it'd be like, yeah, because then like people would miss them and everything like that. And the like criminal's family also suffers because then you have to imagine like they committed a crime.
I feel like there's never just one direct answer because there's always different situations in different cases. But obviously, I think the victim suffers obviously. And then the victim's family. I feel like the victim's family may also face backlash from many different people, as like, especially in this case that we talked about and how they were all suspected at one point. You'll, I guess, face like just lots of struggle throughout that, and your family might be torn apart throughout it. And I was thinking, yeah, the one who committed the crime could have also suffered, as like, because what if, like, yeah, they put themselves through that as they did it, but like, yeah. And I think the one who committed the crime, I think their family would suffer a lot, because I mean, your kid or like your dad or someone like committed a crime. You have to deal with that, and you have to deal with all these people like maybe thinking that you're the same. They might think that it's just kind of passed throughout the family and that you guys are all kind of weird and that they shouldn't be like trust you guys. So, yeah.